tell it's daylight, so I was about to say good morning again. I got to get out of that practice. So even though it's morning for me, it may not be for you. But we do want to welcome you back to our daily encouragement channel. Just to give you a little walk behind the curtain, heading to a doctor appointment. But I do want to take a moment, since I've got time on the road here, thanks to morning traffic, take a moment and challenge you with our daily encouragement. Today we're going out of Matthew chapter 20. Now obviously, since I'm driving, I can't show you the passage on the screen, and also I can't look at the passage. But if you're familiar with Matthew chapter 20, it's the passage where we read about the master who had gone out and hired someone at the beginning of the day for a price. Then he went out a few hours later, hired another person, same price. Then later got a third person at the same price, and then the fourth person gave him the same price. So person worked the full day, 3/4 of a day, a half day, and a quarter of a day, and they all got paid the same amount. And they were upset that they all got paid the same amount. And the lesson of the story was that it was the master's choice how much he wanted to pay, but everybody agreed for the amount that they got paid. It's not like he changed the amount throughout the day. He said, hey, I'm going to pay you $10 for the day. And the laborer said, yes, that sounds good. I'll take the $10. And then went to the person 3/4 of the day and said, I'll pay you $10 to 3/4 of the day. Okay. Went to the third person for half a day, pay you $10. All right, sounds good. And then went to the person for the quarter of the day and said, I'll pay you $10. And the person said, okay, that sounds good. The first person's pay never changed. The agreement never changed. So why was he upset? Why was he angry? Because he felt his worth was devalued. He felt jealousy that this person worked less and got paid the same amount that I did. Basically, he got paid more per hour than what I got paid. I deserve more. I was reading a story, ironically, on my phone, and I scrolled after it, and there was a video that popped up of a famous TV show where this person had mentioned they were signing their work contract. I'm like, wait, you just gave me a look. Why did you give me a look? And they're like, I think you're getting shortchanged for the work that you do. And it's like, I make a whole bunch more than you do, and you've got a higher position than me. And it was supposed to be used as a lesson for that person, to the first person that was getting shortchanged, it was a lesson for them to learn how to negotiate better, to defend themselves, so that they could better represent the value that they provided to that particular company. And I was like, okay, I kind of see that. But at least it was going with the contract, and the argument shouldn't have been, and they showed a little bit of how the person negotiated. It wasn't, well, so-and-so makes more than I do, and so-and-so makes more than I do. But it was, hey, based on the value you say you have of me, and based upon the responsibilities you give to me at this workplace, I feel like I should be paid more. And it's like, do you have a number in mind? And they said, yes, I think this number. I'm like, okay, sounds good. I can do that. And they made a new contract, a new agreement, and went forward with it. Now, I have less of a problem with that, because the person took responsibility of understanding they had signed the original contract and they had agreed to work for that amount. And they said, I believe I'm worth more. And they made the discussion to become more value, or to earn more for the value that they provided. See, one of my favorite movies, absolute favorite movies, it's a movie called The Count of Monte Cristo. And if you remember the story about Edmond, who is the lead character, Edmond didn't have book knowledge. He was practically smart. He was loyal as a worker, and he was a good worker. But one of his best friends, Ferdinand, was born into money, and he and Edmond were super close. But Ferdinand got jealous of Edmond. I don't know why I keep saying it that way, but he got jealous because Edmond was happier with what little he had compared to all the riches. Because the riches, the money, the fame, and the wealth didn't bring him true happiness. The stuff didn't make him happy. If you watched our previous video, you remember we talked about the rich man saying that he had the rich young man had a lot of goods, and he's like, what can I do to gain heaven? And he talked about following the commandments. Jesus told him to follow the commandments, and he goes, oh, which ones? And Jesus named off a lot of them, and he's like, oh, I've done those since I was a kid. And then he said, okay, sell all that you have and give to the poor and follow me. And it said it made him sad because he had a great many things. He had a lot of wealth. He had stuff, and the stuff was more important than it was for him really when he compared that to the idea of going to heaven. He's like, I don't want to give up all my stuff. I don't want to do that. I don't want to make that sacrifice. See, you and I are challenged to do things for the Lord, to give our lives, and to not be distracted by the things of this world, and to not let the things discourage us and slow us down and prevent us from doing the work of God. What about you today? What is it that prevents you from doing your best for the Lord? I mean, since we're being transparent, I'll be transparent again. One of the harder things that's been for me in the last couple weeks is getting back on a normal sleep schedule. See, I was waking up in the middle of the night, and so I'd be up at 3 o'clock in the morning, couldn't fall back asleep, and then suddenly I'm up, when it's time to go to work or it's time to do whatever for the day. And now I've been up since 3. Now, some of you're early birds, and you can do that without a problem. I'm not an early bird. I'm a night owl. I like staying up later. So I'm going to sleep 11 o'clock at night and waking up at 3. That 4 hours just wasn't cutting it for a while. And I'd end up super tired come 8 o'clock, and I still have things I have to do, or places where I'm at, because I'm not home, and I was like, I can't fall asleep over in somebody's house, or fall asleep at work, or things like that, fall asleep on the road. And so it was a struggle for me, and had to make some adjustments so that I wouldn't have that struggle, I wouldn't have that difficulty. And if I wasn't careful, that would have been the thing that prevented me from, let's say, going to church in the morning, or reading my Bible, or, as one person even recommended, praying. The reason I'm awake is I need to be praying for somebody. So my question is, what are the things that prevent you from serving to the best of your ability? What is it that prevents you from doing your best for the Lord? Maybe it's something that prevents you from taking the time to do your devotions, to read and to pray. Maybe it's the idea, I've seen it where people don't go to church because they're like, well, Sunday's my day of rest, and church is an independent thing, and I go to church in my heart, and I spend that individual time with the Lord, and look, I'm not going to judge you for your actions. I know my understanding of the Bible tells you not to forsake the assembling of yourselves together. If you don't, that's a decision between you and God. And to be honest, part of the problem is the jealousy factor, and is we start looking at other people and seeing the things that they do, and we shouldn't do that. So I'm not going to sit there and look at somebody else and go, I can't believe they're doing this. I don't know your life. I don't know your circumstances. You're responsible to God for why you do what you do. And, pray that God gives you wisdom and understanding. But for me, I want to be at church. And so if I'm waking up late, I'm not missing church, but I'm getting there later than I planned to get there. Or maybe we're doing a visitation, or maybe there's a rehearsal going on. All these things that prevent you from serving the best. But what were you doing before that? Mine was just maybe turning off the TV or turning off an electronic, turning down the lights, putting on some calming music in the background so I can get some rest. Just many different things to try to do my best to not have those side distractions. But maybe the thing keeping you from church is a loud sound playing on your phone. But no, the thing that's distracting you is, who knows, whatever it might be. Don't let that be the reason you don't serve the Lord today. Don't let it be a thing. Don't let it be a desire for wealth, for fame, for money, for popularity. There's been a lot of talk recently with the death of Charlie Kirk this past week about people being afraid to stand up for their faith and doing the best they can to serve the Lord. And my challenge to you is, don't let that occur. Don't let that be you. Don't let the things of this world stop you from serving Him today. Thank you again for taking the time to watch. I hope you're being encouraged. Definitely leave a message if you are. Take a couple moments to subscribe to the channel. You'll be notified whenever these videos upload. I try to do them in the morning time, obviously, but like for today, maybe be a little bit later once the appointments are done. But either way, I do appreciate you taking the time to watch video, and again, hope that you're encouraged. Have a blessed day.